so good to have you back. It's still the Weekend Politics live on CRBC TV, Calabar, Cross River State. So let's quickly have you meet our guest. Our guest is a geopolitical analyst and a security expert. Eden Emmanuel is live here in the studio. Eden, so good to have you. Good evening.
Thank you, Mr. Ju.
And welcome to Weekend Politics yet again and again.
Yeah.
Now, a few days back in the global community, we've seen the hostilities that have been taking place between U.S., Israel, and against Iran, and vice versa. Now, for those that are watching or that have been following this story, this issue, this war going on between these heavyweights, can you bring up to speed what is really the problem? How did we all get here between Israel, U.S., and Iran?
Yeah, I think since 1979, after the Islamic Republic, Iran became an Islamic Republic. During that revolution actually brought a very sour relationship between the United States and of America and Israel. And I think it was the failure of the refusal of the Islamic government that came in 1979 in Iran, that their policy towards Israel was in defense of the Palestinians. I remember when they took over the Israeli embassy in Tehran and then declared to become the Palestinian embassy. And from that time henceforth, they have had a very sour relationship with Israel. And in the Middle East, you must understand that Israel is a regional power, because we understand that the elite of the Israeli state, which is a Jewish state, Jewish elites are actually who constitute the elite of the United States. The United States of America is what it is today because of the Israeli or Jewish elites. The United States and Iran have had good relationship in the past during the reign of the Shah, Reza Pahlavi. When the Shah was still in power, the United States and Iran had very strong and special strategic relationship. And in fact, the current government that started in 1979, accused the Shah to represent Western American and Western interests in Iran. And there have been a lot of reasons that the United States of America and Israel, have given out as to why they have attacked Iran. They have given a lot of reasons. Some of the time they said it's because Iran is the #1 state sponsor of terrorism globally, which is a lie. I completely disagree with that Western narrative. My reason for saying that is, number one, Iran has been under sanctions since 1979. They've been under American sanction. They've been under sanction for 40 good years. Since the revolution, when their relationship with the West went sour, they have been under sanction. Iran has not been able to sell their oil into the international market, comfortably like other nations, because they are sanctioned and companies working with Iran are sanctioned. So they are not in the best position to become the sponsor of terrorism globally. I understand that Iran is a very strong ideological nation, strong with the Shiite ideology in forming the Islamic Republic. There are a lot of countries in the Middle East, like Iraq. We have a high population of Shiite. Shia Islam is a kind of a branch of Islam that is, I would say, it is the Iranian invention. It's the Iranian version of Islam. A lot of people in the Middle East fell in love with Shia Islam, mostly in Iraq, and then we have some of them in Syria. And Lebanon. Those are places where we have a lot of Shia majority population. Okay, but they still remain to be the minority among the Muslim sect that we have globally. So what really happened was that the Americans have accused Iran of being a #1 state sponsor of terrorism because of their support to Hezbollah in Lebanon and Hezbollah in Iraq. They have also supported Hamas, declared their diplomatic and political support for the Hamas. Hamas is today proscribed as a terrorist organization, but Hamas itself is a political party, and that's what a lot of people don't know in this part of the world because of news coverage from Western mainstream media. Hamas is a political party. We have two major political parties in Palestine, which is occupied Palestine by the Israeli government. We have Hamas and Fatah. Hamas won the party in Gaza Strip and took over Gaza. Now, why are they called a terrorist organization? We understand that the Israeli state, the state of Israel today, is running an apartheid government. I mean, we all know that all over the world there is segregation among the Jews and the Arabs and the rest. So they run an apartheid government. From time to time, they keep expanding their illegal settlement because they feel that they want to expand from Samaria to Judea. In fact, they even want to create a greater Israel. They want a complete Jewish state. You cannot do that. Since 1948, when the state of Israel was established, the Jews over there have sought to expand their territory. They've carried out a lot of ethnic cleansing attack on the Palestinians. So, these attacks have has forced the Palestinians, to fight back. And in a bid to fight back, we had the Hamas political party that actually established a militia, an armed wing, which is like a liberation group, militant group, to fight back and resist Israeli occupation. From 2014, we witnessed the bombardment of Gaza that killed, thousands of Palestinians. And the Israeli government put a siege in Gaza, a siege in the air, in the land. They blocked the corridor that, allows the Gazans to move from Gaza to Egypt. So they block everywhere. Gaza has been an open prison for many years, since 2014. I witnessed the bombing campaign that was carried out, led by Benjamin Netanyahu in Gaza Strip. So Hamas, became very hardened. They became hardened, and they begin to sort out for weapon. They smuggled weapon, to build a militia that is capable of deterring Israeli aggression and occupation in Gaza. Oftentimes, they resist the Israeli government. So they were proscribed because Israel has special relationship with the global West. So they were now proscribing Hamas as a terrorist organization. But we don't have evidence of Hamas attacking their own people. They have always resisted the Israelis, carry out attack against the Israelis because of their apartheid practice. Now, we also have Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah was established in 1982. Why were they established? Hezbollah was established to counter Israeli occupation of Lebanon. Israel attacked Lebanon, unjustly. They attacked Lebanon and they took over territories in Lebanon. When they did this, they even attacked Lebanon and got to Beirut, the capital. So it was in 1982 that the Iranian government gave some of their support for the establishment of Hezbollah to resist Israeli aggression. And in fact, Iran actually gave a lot of weapons to the Lebanese government, especially Hezbollah. And then Hezbollah was able to push Israel out of Beirut. And then they called for a ceasefire, and then they had an agreement. So from that time, Hezbollah have grown to become very popular in Lebanon, to the extent that they have a political wing. In fact, Hezbollah is a political party in Lebanon. So Hezbollah is not a threat to its people, to the people of Lebanon. They have not carried attack on the Lebanese. They have sought to, maintain the territorial integrity of Lebanon. Okay, I understand that there have been differences between the actual Lebanese government and the Hezbollah political faction.
Okay, so from sorry for butting in there. Now, from all of these analysis you've given since 1979, it appears that since then to when their leader was gone down, there's been this Cold War between Israel, Iran, US, and Iran. How did we now get to a full-blown military confrontation just some days back?
There are a lot of propaganda going on. I'll call it propaganda by the West. You see, since 1979, during the Iran Revolution that brought about, which toppled the Shah of Iran, the monarchy of Iran, which was, I would call him a puppet of the West. Since the toppling of the Shah of Iran, we have the Islamic Republic of Iran that was first led by the Grand Ayatollah Khomeini. After the passing away of Khomeini, we now had Ali Khamenei, Said Ali Khamenei. Khamenei has served as the president of the Islamic Republic of Iran. A lot of people said that the Iranian system is a system of dictatorship. No, the Iranian system is broken into three parts. We have the judiciary, we have the legislative, they have a parliament. So they also, if they have a democracy, they have a democratic government in place, then they have the executive. The executive wing of the Iranian government is divided into two. We have the clerical aspect of it, which is the clerical aspect of it serves as the supervisors or director. Then we have the democratic part of the executive branch, which is the president. So the Ayatollah, who is the supreme leader, acts as a state supervisor. It supervises the work of the presidency. The president is elected by Iranians. The Iranians elect their president. They choose their president. But the president, operates under the supervision of the Ayatollah, which is the clerical head. So Iran is a theocracy. You agree with me, we have two theocracies in the world, which is the theocracy in Vatican City, in Rome. The Vatican government is a theocracy. So that's a theocratic government. Another theocracy in the world is the Islamic Republic of Iran. Is a theocracy. A theocracy because the clerical class is what, that is the head of the entire government in Iran. And I want you to let's look at the state of Iran actually. For instance, Iran has been under 40 years of sanction. Iran has fought in 1980, there was Iran-Iraq war that the United States, because of its, uncomfortable relationship with Iran, supported Saddam Hussein to fight Iran. And then there was an 8 years war from 1980 to 1988 that they fought this war. America supplied Saddam Hussein with chemical weapons to attack Iranians. A lot of Iranians died. And the finally came and brought him down. Well, they were the same. They supported him. In fact, American naval fleet from Bahrain were fighting Iranian navy in the Persian Gulf alongside the Iraqi government. So we know all this. In fact, in 1988, the American naval fleet in the Persian Gulf shot down an Iranian civilian flight carrying about 180 or 200 and something passengers, killing about 66 children. So with all of this kind of reaction from the American government, do you think the Iranians will trust the Americans? The Americans see the Iranians as a threat to their domination of the Middle East. The Americans are running an empire. So the petrodollar depends on the trades of your petrochemicals with with American dollar. Every sale, the Arab nations, the Saudi Arabia, all of them, they sell their petrochemicals with the dollar. So that is how America has been able to dominate the global financial system. And that is their strategic edge. Okay, so they feel that Iran is a threat because Iran is an independent country that does not succumb to American diktat. You understand? So they see them as a threat. Iran has been growing technologically. After 40 years of sanction, Iran, the Islamic Republic of Iran, led by the deceased Ayatollah Said Ali Khamenei, were able to launch satellite into space. Not satellite that the Chinese built for them, but their local scientists have been able to build satellite and launch it into space. The missiles that they are using to defend themselves today were built, it is out of the hard experience of the 8-year war they fought with Iraq. They were sanctioned, nobody sold any weapon to them. So their engineers were able to build the Shahid drones that they've been giving to Russia, and they built all their things domestically. Now they accuse Iran that Iran wants to build nuclear weapon. Now, in the Middle East, we all know that Israel is the only country that has a stockpile of nuclear warhead. In Dimona, in the desert in Dimona, they built a nuclear facility where they have nuclear weapon. And that was made known to the world by Mordecai Vanunu, one of the guy that was working in that facility. He escaped to Great Britain and opened up to the world that, look, Israel has built nuclear weapons. And then that was how we knew. And then the United Nations has long called Israel to submit their nuclear program and their nuclear facility for the inspection of the International Nuclear Watchdog. And Israel has long refused. They have asked them to declare how many stockpile of nuclear warheads they have. They have refused. They have this ambiguity concerning their nuclear weapon program. But at the same time, the same Israel has accused Iran of trying to build nuclear weapon. And they said that the Iranians are religious fanatics, and if you allow them to own nuclear weapon, they are going to use it against Israel.
So all of this led to this military.
Yes, those are the accusations.
Okay, quickly, Adam, let's look at because I know this war, the way it's going, might likely snowball into something big. But what are some big nations doing? We have Russia, we have China, if we even have the United Nations. What are they doing to ensure that this can be stopped?
It's a sad reality that the international rule-based order is collapsing, and it is dying rapidly under the leadership of President Donald Trump. The United Nations for the past 30 to 20 decades, the United Nations has failed in maintaining international.
2 to 3 decades, you mean?
I mean,
about 30 years.
30 years or more, the United Nations has, been deteriorating. The United Nations has become very ineffective in maintaining global peace, and carrying out its duty. Because check it out. We have America sitting down in the United Nations Security Council, and for no one day has the United Nations been able to condemn American action, breach of international law. You and I are aware of Israel breaching international law a lot of times. Even they are killing. They've been declared the killing of Palestinians in Gaza has been declared a genocide. But the international community cannot do anything because America will veto every UN Security Council resolution against the state of Israel. To sanction Israel, they will veto it. So these are the problems that we have in the United Nations. That's number one. The United Nations cannot do anything. So the rule-based order has collapsed. We saw Russia that invaded Ukraine. Although they have a very good justification, I can agree with their justification. That is the same thing happening now that we are seeing within Iran and the United States. We have Russia as a great country, but the problem is, this is the problem. When you allow a country, neighboring states have to begin to put the security of their fellow neighboring sister nation into consideration. For instance, if you go to the Gulf Arab nation, which has, shares border with Iran, we have Bahrain, Oman Republic, Kuwait, we have United Arab Emirates, we have Qatar, we have the Saudi Arabia, about 8 Arab Gulf nations. All of them have American base encircling Iran. All of them, they are actually client states of the United States. But if you go to these countries, you will see American installation encircling Iran. These are extraterritorial forces, that are very aggressive to the Iranian government. And there have been plans which, Netanyahu have talked about, the axis of evil, talking about America destroying 7 countries. And it has been in their plan to destroy these 7 countries. And these are Syria. Syria, Bashar al-Assad was removed. In fact, America sponsored terrorism, and I'm aware of that because many of the rebels that were fighting against the government of Bashar al-Assad were trained in Jordan, moved into Syria to fight the government. Some of them that were killed were hijacked by helicopter, moved to Israel Golan Heights, where they were trained. And today we are talking about ISIS, but ISIS was sponsored by the United States. It was a program by the United States to topple Bashar al-Assad, who was an ally of Russia and Iran. They succeeded, and since Syria fell, we have ISIS spreading across the Middle East. That's number one. Then we have Libya. Libya, the West was against the Libyan president. They call him a dictator and what sort. They said, they want, he had a good policy. Today we realize that he was fighting for the unity of Africa, was fighting for the independence of Africa. They toppled Libya, and today Libya is a mess. In fact, the government of National Accord that is leading Libya is a puppet government that is led by Western powers. And I'm surprised no African country is saying anything. The West are coming to make political decisions in African states, and African unions, they can do anything.
I just have to, because of time, Edem, let me jump in real quick. The way it's going, let's quickly get this straight. Are we looking at nuclear risks or something?
Yes,
as this fight is going,
yes. There's a serious nuclear risk with this. First of all, Iran is a nuclear threshold nation. And what do I mean by a nuclear threshold nation? Iran started their nuclear program in the 1950s. It was started by the Shah, Reza Pahlavi, before he was toppled in 1979. The Ayatollahs, who are the mullahs, the Islamic leaders that came into the country, they continue to invest in the nuclear research program of Iran. And as at last year, after the 12-day war in June last year, the Iranian nuclear watchdog, the Iranian National Nuclear Watchdog, came out to announce that there is no known nuclear, there's no known nuclear, whatever nuclear knowledge within the nuclear bound. There's no scientific knowledge in the nuclear field that Iran does not know. There is no bounds. That's to say that Iran has gotten to the stage where they can enrich uranium into weapon grade, which is 90% enrichment of uranium leads to weapon grade. Iran, since in 2015, there was a negotiation between Iran and nuclear powerful nations, including United States, the E3 European states, and Russia and China. There was a nuclear deal, and these countries were signatory to that deal. The deal came up with was pushed up by Barack Obama and the Secretary of State John Kerry. They came up to negotiate with Iran to stop Iran because they still claim that Iran wants to develop nuclear weapon. But there's a fatwa in Iran by the same supreme leader that they killed, Ayatollah Said Khamenei. He placed a fatwa that nuclear weapon is a threat, is a threat to humanity. Therefore, it is against Islamic principle. Therefore, Iran will not build a nuclear weapon. That's number one. So what did they do? They engaged the West because they were sanctioned. When they were sanctioned, they wanted sanction relief. So they entered into negotiation with the West, which was called JCPOA agreement in 2015. Iran had to scale down their nuclear enrichment to very low, up to about 3.something%. In exchange of that, the Americans will remove sanction from them. The United Nations will remove sanction from them. They will enjoy sanction relief, right? But what happened? Immediately Donald Trump came into power in 2018. He immediately withdrew the United States from that agreement, which is a unilateral decision. It was not right. And when they did that, Western countries and the Russia and China, who were supposed to now be the custodian because they were signatory to uphold that agreement, you know how the West behave, Europeans, they behave. They went behind the United States and that deal collapsed. And Iran threatened them and said, if you withdraw from this deal and we are not enjoying the sanction relief, we cannot continue to uphold to this agreement. Therefore, we will do what? We will enrich uranium as a counterbalance. Since you're scared of us building nuclear weapons, we are going to enrich uranium until you get back to the deal, or then we have renegotiate and have a new deal so that you take away sanction from us. So Iran actually continued to enrich uranium up to 60%. But it since then does not have any, in fact, the United Nations CIA briefing, some of their intelligence organizations have briefed that there's no sign that Iran is building nuclear weapon. The International Atomic Energy Watchdog came out to speak from the United Nations that Iran does not have, there is no sign that Iran is building or has intention of developing nuclear warheads, right? So those are facts. Those are facts on the ground. You understand? But right now, as a nuclear threshold nation that has the capacity to enrich uranium up to 60%, it means they can enrich uranium up to 90%. And that's weapon grade. And Iran has shown capacity in developing long-range missile technology that has a range of up to 3,000. In fact, Iranian missile can strike target in the UK. They can strike target in Europe. So with that capability, if they are able to miniaturize that nuclear warheads into the missiles, they can shoot it anywhere in Europe, in Africa. They can shoot it even in places they can attack Israel with it if they so want. You understand? So they actually want a deal to stop all of this, and they don't have intention because of the fatwa, which is against their religious principle, that they don't want a nuclear weapon. So they are a nuclear threshold state. But if you push them to the wall, there is tendency for Iranians, the Iranian hardliners, to begin to say, okay, for the survival of the government and the people, we are going to defend ourselves. You have seen that they have put up a fight with the United States. What are they doing right now? Immediately, because this is a strategy of the war. The Americans brought the Iranians under negotiation that was ongoing in Muscat in Oman Republic. And whilst they were going for negotiation in good faith, the Americans were using the opportunity to build up military hardware. They were moving military to do military build-up in the Middle East. They were moving weapons into Saudi Arabia, all of these Gulf Arab nations, and Israel. They were building forces, moving their Abraham Lincoln fighter carrier, ship carrier, into that Iranian Persian Gulf water. What are they doing? They are building force to attack Iran. What is American aim? America knows that Iran is not pursuing any policy of building nuclear weapons. They know that. Iranian missile technology is not a threat to United States or to Israel. Israel, in fact, who have accused Iran, they have a nuclear weapon and the whole world is not talking about it. So why are you talking about the Iranian accusing them of wanting to build a nuclear weapon? And why is whatever Iran is doing a threat to you? So let me tell you the reason why America attacked Iran. The reason the United States of America, alongside with Israel committed an international illegal war against Iran. That was a war of aggression. It was a war of choice. That's the truth. You don't have the right under international law to attack another nation. You bomb their seat of power and kill their supreme leader, kill the head of state. I mean, all nations in the world, I don't know the position of the Nigerian government, every nation in the world should speak up and say, look, what you're doing is wrong. The global south is weakening. We should condemn that action because today it is Iran. Tomorrow it will be Turkey because Turkey, the Israeli prime minister said that Turkey is a threat because Turkey has built so much power. Turkey now sells weapons across the world. So they see Turkey as a threat. Turkey can challenge Israeli dominance in the Middle East. That's one. Another country that has built so much potential that can challenge Israeli dominance in the Middle East is Egypt. And I'm telling you today, if the world does not stand up to condemn what they do and oppose American aggression in Iran, we will see Egypt fall, Cairo will fall, Istanbul will fall. Mark my word. Except the global south, stand up to challenge what America and Israel are doing in Iran. So this is the Iranian strategy. All the Gulf Arab states sharing borders with Iran are client states of the United States. Now, America has built military installations surrounding Iran. So what are the Iranians? People say Iran is, attacking innocent countries in the Middle East, to expand the war. It's not true. Most of the oil companies in Saudi Arabia, like the Saudi Aramco, is heavily invested by American multinationals across the Gulf Arab states. So those are American interests. All the military base in the Middle East, in the Gulf Arab nation, are American military base. Stationed there are American troops. So if you are an extraterritorial force in the northern hemisphere, you are attacking Iran in the southern hemisphere, and your base is near, what are they supposed to do? They will attack your base because they are a threat to them. So the Iranian strategy is to remove American presence, American military base, out of all the Gulf Arab states. So the Gulf Arab states bear responsibility because you did not consider the interests of your neighbor. You bring a hostile force that is hostile to Iranian national security, a threat to them. So they are trying to blow up American military installation. In fact, the hotels that they are accusing the Iranians of bombing in United Arab Emirates, you know what the American did? Donald Trump was asked to remove all American forces in the base in the Middle East because Iran before now has threatened that should America attack them, they will attack all their base in the Middle East. They moved them into hotels. Iran gathered intelligence and are trying to fire at those hotels, and they've been able to take out, in fact, they were able to take out some of the CIA agents that were working in CIA branch office in United Arab Emirates.
Okay, Edem, quickly, one thing about engagement like this, time is not always on our side because we just have to wrap it up here and bring up our next set of guests. But in 30 seconds, if you would, tell us what is all of these, spelling out for Africa.
First of all, the threat of the collapse of the international rule-based order. It shows that powerful nations will exert their influence and dictate for other sovereign nations, and they will attack with aggression and impunity. So that is what we are going to face, and it calls for the unity, especially here in Africa. We have about 50-something African nations. It's not as if we don't have, to some level, some certain capability. We know Egypt has a military-industrial complex, and Egypt is capable of manufacturing certain weapon hardwares. We have a military-industrial complex in South Africa. I think we wouldn't be able to do it alone. African countries must come together to build a united defense pact to be able to, deter aggression against African territories. And one of the things we need to do, looking at this threat now in the world, first, we need to remove all Western military base in Africa. Any foreign base in Africa has to be closed. We don't need foreign troops to defend ourselves. African problem need African solution. We can defend ourselves. Send guys to train, move the equipment. We will be able to defend ourselves. Terrorists are not alien that fell from the sky with weapons. Terrorists are sponsored by states and multinational interests. They are sponsored by those interests. So don't think that any terrorist you see, they fall from the sky, or it is by ideology. They are following a certain ideology. The so-called Islamic terrorists are killing Muslims and Christians all over the world. They are attacking everybody. So we must understand that threat. That's number one. Then secondly, the immediate impact of this war, if it is not stopped immediately, is that the Iranian government have shut the Strait of Hormuz, which accounts for 30% of global energy trade. By shutting the Strait of Hormuz and Iran attacking oil plants, oil plants and oil industry, all the oil refineries in the Middle East, that will stop global productivity in the energy market. So what will happen is that there's going to be an uprise of course, in Nigeria, you see the petrol prices is going up. So very soon, the cost of crude in the international will be up to $150 per barrel, $100 to $200 per barrel. If nothing is done to stop that conflict, there's going to be a ripple effect. The world will get into a recession and inflation. So we need to, stop that conflict.
Idem Emmanuel Amos, thank you so very much for your time on the show. Idem Emmanuel is a geopolitical analyst and a security expert. Thank you for your time. We truly, as we're having this war going on, we should be having you more often to come give us
no problem.
Update on this. Thank you for your time. Weekend Politics return shortly. Let's take a short break, and when we are back, we'll be having the next guest. We'll also dive straight into some other political issues. Stay with us. Don't go anywhere.